What's going on, everyone? It's Sweaty Zeus coming to you here from the Forbidden Lands. We are continuing the walkthrough of Elden Ring, and we're getting closer and closer towards the end of the game. We've still got a ways to go. I don't want you to think it's almost over, but it feels like we're finally making some real progress here. So, um, anyways, we're here in the Forbidden Lands. Sorry, my phone went off. But, yeah, so we're here in the Forbidden Lands, and we're going to continue through that today. And I think we'll probably get the next smithing bearing to buy the smithing stones by the end of this one as well, too, if everything goes well. So I'll probably tag it with that. So if you're looking for the next smithing bell bearing, that'll be towards the end of this video. These ones aren't as strong as the ones at Bestial Sanctum, which is kind of weird. You would think they would be stronger, because I would think this is more late game than that area, but yeah, so anyways. They got about, I think about 900 to 1000 HP. So one comment will take them out at this point if you've been leveling up similar to me. Cannot remember, I don't think this one has anything in it, but I just wanted to double check. There's a lot of these skulls, so at least you can see how we get in here. You can jump in the mouth on them, and a lot of times there's an item there. Alright, so I just checked my notes to see what all was here that I may not remember. There's an app I found, Elden Ring Companion app. It's in the App Store, and it outlines the locations of everything. You can basically filter down, like if you're just looking for Ashes of War or Graces or whatever. It does get a little hard to look at when you've not filtered down enough, because there's just so much stuff out in the world. But it's good for me to check on these videos, because it kind of refreshes my memory on what I'm looking for, even though I usually play through, like I've said before, on another character. So, for example, I had forgot, and I don't know if I've ever even found it before, but there's actually a Knights Cavalry here in the Forbidden Lands, which I don't think I've ever actually found it. There's a one of those more rare Trina lilies. They're not super rare, but they you might want to pick it up if you use those in crafting. I think they actually help make there he is right there. We're actually going to be able to get his armor before long as well. Once we get up to the land of the giants, which we're headed. It's not in the land of the giants, but it's an area that's kind of part of that whole area, kind of like how Weeping Peninsula in Limgrave, you know, it's in the same area, but it's considered like a separate part of that area. Phantom Slash. I've never actually gotten that one. Be interesting to check it out. I wouldn't have thought this was nighttime. Is this the skull? I know it's not far after the Knights Cavalry. Oh, I got turned around, that's why. There's a little jump. There's going to be a few guys here on the other side. Oops, wrong one. Alright, sorry about that. I had to take my dog out of the room. She was getting a little obnoxious. So I've also identified a weapon I think I'm going to be using. I've actually considered changing away from this already. For the build I was talking about transferring to, that's going to build around the Carrion Grandeur, which I have set on this weapon right now. There's a weapon we picked up in Liurnia, and I've actually found out a little more about it, so I'd like to cover this real quick. The Carrion Knight sword is actually pretty good. I had said when we picked it up that the scaling was terrible on it, and I've done a little more research and reading. I think scaling's pretty overrated, to be quite honest, and a lot of people in the community around Elden Ring don't really understand what it does and means. Obviously they know, I think for the most part, what scaling is and how it works, but what I'm referring to is a lot of people seem to think that scaling is the end-all be-all of every weapon, and if it doesn't show it has great scaling, then it's not a good weapon, and that's really couldn't be further from the truth. There's a lot of weapons that have really great base damage. They may get really good split damage if it's doing, say, like a magic weapon like I'm talking about in this case. And then you do have scaling that adds to that, and better scaling is preferred, but two weapons, one with D scaling and one with S scaling, or A scaling, isn't a flat comparison a lot of times, because some weapons may have horrible base damage and get all their power really from scaling, and then another weapon may get a ton of base damage, and then if you add more and more points to whatever stat it's scaling from, say faith, intelligence, or strength, it may not make a huge difference. So let me show you real quick. You can see this weapon has 16 strength, 13 dex. Now, the way I've got it set up, it scales off intelligence with C, which isn't bad, and you can look under attack power, that plus 151, we're getting 151 points from magic scaling, and only 17 from strength and dex combined. You can see intelligence is C level, strength and dex are E for attribute scaling under that. So, because I don't have a lot of strength or dex, 23 and 19, which is really overkill for the way my character's set up, but most of that's from the rune arc. Because of that, you know, we're not really investing in the scaling EE. If I had like 99 strength or 99 dex or 50 and 50, then we wouldn't be getting much payoff. But we're not really wasting anything there because we're only invested in the magic scaling. Like my magic stat is intelligence, which is 77. So with the sea level scaling we're getting a decent return on that. Not like we would with, say, an S scaling weapon. Let me find one that scales a little better. Okay, so B here, you can see another weapon. This one's +9, so it's upgraded a little from the other, but don't look at that. We're just looking at the attribute scaling where it says B and then DD. So you can see we're getting 47 from the physical scaling, from strength and dex, and we're getting 254 from the intelligence scaling. And you can see the intelligence, when we go to attack power under magic intelligence, same thing. We're only getting 225 base damage, but we're getting even more of our damage from the scaling. So in this weapon's case, it relies on scaling far more than, for example, even just a sea level scaling weapon. Now, if you go to a weapon like the one I'm talking about here, the Carrion sword, you can see it gets D in all three. So it's not getting anything really all that great. I mean, from us being level 77, we're only getting 82 magic scaling. But the weapon does 177 base magic damage already. So once this is fully upgraded, that goes, I think, about the like 250. So you've got like 250 plus 250. Anyways, with the scaling and everything in this weapon, similarly statted on my other character, I was doing about 600 attack rating. And you can see we're getting 536 right now on this weapon. So that's pretty respectable when you consider this is 788 and it's, you know, it's a much bigger sword. It's going to swing a lot slower than this one. So there's more. Anytime there's just one variable, you can look at that variable and determine, okay, that's what's important. But when you're looking at multiple variables like we are here, you can't narrow it all down to just one thing that's all important. So the main takeaway is when you're looking at a weapon, you want to look at its overall damage and how it gets there. Either the scaling or base damage, either one is less important. So two weapons being equal, both +10 or +25, same thing. That's just a regular interchangeable Ash of War weapon. If they reach the same attack power, they're going to both hit just as hard, regardless of what the scaling says. So, anyways, I just wanted to cover that. You are getting more out of scaling if you have a weapon that scales better, obviously. So, like, if we have an S scaling weapon as opposed to a D scaling weapon, and we try them both on a character with 99 intelligence, and that's where it's scaling, we're going to get more return, obviously, in the one that has the better scaling. But if you look at the base damage and we still come out to the same or a similar number in the end, it doesn't really matter. So you have some weapons that, like, for example, the longsword here, it's got D&D scaling, and even when you upgrade it a lot, I don't think that really goes up a whole bunch. But you only have 10 strength, 10 dex, so you could use this weapon with just 10 strength, 10 dex, and not really invest any more in trying to get the scaling up. And you're relying, you know, mostly on the physical damage and whatever buffs you put on it. And then you could put all those points into something else, like faith or intelligence or whatever. So I think too, it kind of allows you to invest your stats other places than trying to chase high scaling a lot of times with a weapon. And if a weapon does a high AR, it does a high AR. I don't think it really matters if it gets there because of great scaling and poor base damage, or great base damage and poor scaling. Anyways, they kind of come out. And that's what I wanted to cover. I know it's kind of complicated to talk about without like looking at a chart and me pointing at it, but I hope that makes sense. Just don't fall in love with the scaling only on a weapon. Oh, we can summon Millicent here. Cool. I'd never seen that before. Probably just missed it. You can send away our mimic, So the gargoyle's going to be just ahead. He's going to hit really hard, just so you're aware. Once you see those two pillars, that's a good place to stop and throw on whatever buffs or summons you want to do. And he's going to be pretty much the same as the one we fought in the waterfall in the upper level of Siofra. I think Ancestral Woods it was called. He's going to have the same moveset. Shoot, I forgot to take off the Law of Regression. Uh-oh. Alright, we're good. Bye-bye. Thought I had a foul foot, but I didn't. There we go. You get a fair amount of runes from him, so if you want to try to throw on your golden scarab or, use a foul foot, I'd recommend it there. Gotta go pick up a couple more foul foots. We're gonna be going straight ahead, but one of these sides has something. I think it's somber stones or regular smithing. I can't remember exactly. This is where we're going to get the silver scarab as well, which will, it's a talisman that will increase the likelihood of drops, your discovery rating, quite a bit. Maybe that's it, the freezing grease. I thought there was smithing stone somewhere over here. Here's some butterflies. You can't get to them though. Alright. So now we're going to hit the Grand Lift of Rold, which is similar to the Atlas lift we took a long time ago, or Altus, not Atlas. If you remember earlier, Lieutenant the Albinaric that we met talked about a secret medallion. So here's the one Melina gave us, which operates this lift and will take us to the next area. This is the Hallig Tree secret medallion, which we're going to need to find the left half in the next area. And this is the one we got from the pot guy, Albus, back in Village of the Albinarics, way back in Liurnia. So we're going to be looking for the second half of this, and then we'll take it to this same lift, and it'll take us to a different area. So
you turn back ahead, and the way forth. Hear me. Doing so, who would most certainly.
all right. Now, in regards to the end of the game, which we've still got a ways, so you'll come here and hoist the medallion. But in regards to the end of the game, there's an alternate place, and I briefly discussed this, under the Capitol. I think it's called like Underground Crossroads or whatever, the one I showed you how to get to under the Capitol through the sewer. If you go that way, there's a way to go deeper and deeper under the Capitol, and it's kind of a maze. But you'll ultimately end up with the Three Fingers, which are the ones who are responsible for the Flame of Frenzy. Basically, all the Flame of Frenzy people or followers, or I don't know the full lore to it, but they're an alternate faction of the Two Fingers and kind of their enemies, I guess. And if you go down there, you can inherit the Three Fingers flame, the Frenzied Flame, yourself. And it's different, and it's involved with the Grape Lady back in Liurnia, Hyetta, if you remember. She we found those eyeball grapes for her and gave her several of them. She'll meet us down there if we go that way. So, just something to consider. If you do that, it's going to piss off Melina and she'll leave you and talk about fighting you at the end of the game. I don't know if she ever actually does or not, but that's something to consider as well. But if you do that, you won't have to have her set the flame on the Erd tree, and she'll live, but she'll hate you. So it's your decision. Here's the map fragment. There's a grace right ahead on the left. Before I forget, I'm going to throw back on Terra Magica. Alright, so if you remember, here's our friend who died. Oh god, what was his name? I'm blanking right now, of course. But this is actually Shabriri, which is the, I guess, deity for the Three Fingers that I was just talking about.
Finally, the Tarnished. Oh my, I fear that you were previously this vessel.
She says you were previously acquainted with this vessel, for he is dead.
For his flesh. I hope you can
Shabriri
make
took
use
over
of it.
his flesh.
You were about to sacrifice something precious, the life of a fair maiden. But only so that you may be Lord. What a horrible thing to your ascendancy. But how would the Lord, chosen, tarnished, and would-be Lord, spare the poor girl? If you are prepared to show and attain lordship through righteous heart, then heed the words of our chosen, tarnished, descend into the depths.
Descend into the depths far below the Erdtree capital. Seek audience with the three fingers and the flame of frenzy. If you inherit the flame of frenzy, your flesh will serve as the kindling, as opposed to melina. I missed that one, setting you on the righteous path of lordship, the path of the Lord of Chaos. Burn the Erdtree to the ground and incinerate all that divides and distinguishes.
May chaos take the world. May chaos take the world.
So you can kill this if you want, and get its armor right here, but I think it will prevent you from doing the three fingers ending. So if you want to, Melon is basically going to kill herself for us to be able to burn the Erdtree, the thorns on the outside. But if we go to the three fingers below the capital, they're basically going to burn us, and we're going to become the Lord of Chaos. And then we'll come back here and you can get the armor at that point. So that's really your decision, basically, what you want to do with that. I just want to outline them both. It's kind of a inflection point here where you're going to have to make a decision soon. I'm going to do a couple more things before I make that decision, but I wanted to at least bring it up because it's going to be coming up very soon. So again, Melina will leave you if you go with the three fingers, but she won't have to kill herself. So she's either going to leave or she's going to kill herself to help us killing herself. But that's up to you, what you choose. So we're going to ride over here. Make sure you don't have a lot of runes because you're probably going to die. If you remember these guys way back in Weeping Peninsula next to the church, we fought one in an Everjail for Radagon's Scar Seal, which is the weaker one. But we're going to have to take them on. I'd recommend throwing on whatever talismans protect you from frostbite, because that's their main avenue of attack. See how powerful that Ash of War is? 2 hits. We did a little under 5,000 damage. And I didn't even have the magic Scorpion Charm. So, real quick. Robustness, I think, is protection for blood loss and frostbite. So, throw on whatever's going to help us. This one's going to get us to 294. And then you can throw on the other one. Which is this one, which will get us to 384. So, that will help you with these guys. We're going to have to fight through a lot of them. Or you can just rush for the... You really probably could make it just rushing for the bell bearing. Basically, you're going to need to run straight up this area. In that building at the tip of my hat, right there. You're going to go, I think, just to the right of it, and then you'll see the cellar that goes downward. and you can just run in there and grab it. Actually, I'm going to try to do that for the walkthrough, and then if you want to fight through them, you know which way to go. There's going to be about 5 or 6 of these guys we're going to pass. Right here. There's Smith's Stone Miners, bell bearing 3. So we can warp back to Table of Grace now. Oh, before we move any further, we can get Morgoth's sword as well, the one he converted his staff into. If I didn't already sell the remembrance. Okay. This sucks. I wouldn't get it. It scales off intelligence to faith. It basically lets out the little attacks he was doing, the little yellowish wraiths that come out, Regal Omen Baron. Or you can get his cursed sword, which does have blood loss build up. It's kind of low, but does have it. And then it's got a really, really good Ash of War. You're going to need 35 dex to wield it. And it's arcane scaling, which you can't change. But if you're interested, that's how you get it there. I'll probably go ahead and get it for the sake of the walkthrough. Maybe I'll try it out at some point. It's definitely cool looking. Here, I'll show it to you. And it's considered the same type weapon as the Bloodhound Fang, so it's going to have a very similar moveset. There you can see it there. It's really long. You see, dual wield them. And then I'll hop down here and show you. It's got basically a power stance moveset where they'll swing together. So that's the L1, it's a 3-hit combo with both swords. And it's got the same moveset otherwise of the Bloodhound Fang. See? There's the Ash of War. I basically rushes forward, does a swipe, and if you hit it again, another swipe, which leaves behind like a blood loss effect, and then it does little explosions and inflicts blood loss. So it is a good weapon if you're if you're going to be building your decks. I think it scales mostly with decks. Again, like with the Bloodhound Fang, you can see our base damage is 345 on this weapon. We're getting a lot of scaling from strength and dexterity. 345 is fairly low for a weapon being maxed out. So you're going to get a lot of your hard hittingness, the attack rating from being the strength and dex on this weapon. Like whenever I respect and got up to like 50 strength, 50 dex, it was doing like 700, almost 800 attack rating, attack power. It's only 578 now. So this weapon does rely on the scaling a little more than say like this one I was talking about, where it's just all D. Oh, we'll go over here. Yeah, plus 10, a giant sword like that, it's not great, the damage, but if you know, have the stats for the scaling, it gets insanely good. So you can see now we can upgrade to plus 18 just through buying the stones instead of, relying on finding them throughout the game. And I'm going to go over here and probably do a couple upgrades. Let's see. We're at 36 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and end it here, actually. And then in the next one, we'll pick up where we left off and continue Mountaintop of the Giants. Actually, no, we won't. I wanted to get that Smith bearing force, but we've got to finish deeper depths over here. Just a little more in this area, maybe half the episode. We got to finish Via's thing and do her final boss fight, which is a big dragon. I don't think we did that yet. And then there's a Crucible Knight over here who's going to give you his armor and the tree spear. And there's an incantation book like over here somewhere, I think. So we need to do all that and here, finish picking everything up. There's a bunch more somber and high-end smithing items over here. So thanks for watching, guys. I know it's a short one, but we got the bell bearing, so it's a good one for people to reference just looking for that. I don't want to make it super long and cover like 3 different areas. So thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Have a good day.